Good morning and welcome to the East Tennessee Report. I'm Kim Hansard and I'm so glad that you've joined us on this Sunday morning. And today is going to be a very interesting show. I'm very excited to have my guest here today, Dr. Kenny Hayes, along with Mark Labello. They are the co-founders of the North American Paranormal Research Team. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, now that's a mouthful. North American Paranormal Research Team. And first of all, I want to state right off that this is not something for this time of year. We're in the fall of the year. October, Halloween, a lot of people may think, okay, this is just kind of a kitschy thing for this time of year, but you guys do this year round, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so now, first of all, I want to back up a little bit before we start talking about what the North American Paranormal Research Team does. I think it's pretty clear what you all do, probably from the name. But how does one even get involved in this? I want to know what you guys do in, quote, the real world, because this is not your full-time job. So, Mark, start with you.
Well, actually, I'm a retired Navy veteran of 23 years, and now I am currently a high school teacher at West High School here in Knoxville. You want to know how I got into it?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of strange. You know, many years ago, they come out with Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures and all that, those TV programs. So I was always interested, always watching them. They catch my interest. But I always said to myself, it's all fake. I can debunk that. Debunk means I can prove they're doing something to make it, real. So anyway, I'm at work one day, and I have a friend of mine named Josh Lester who was looking at some paranormal stuff on the computer at work. And I went up to him and I said, "Are you into the paranormal field?" And he goes, "Actually, I am. I belong to a group called Knoxville Paranormal Detectives, run by Jeff Loveday and his group." He goes, "Why, are you interested in it?" And I said, "Absolutely." I said, "You think that maybe I could come along with you guys one day and just see how it all works?" And he goes, "Yes, sure." So, I got up with them and we went and did a ghost hunt, and I kind of got hooked because we went to this place called Old South Pittsburgh Hospital down in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee.
Oh, so it wasn't even like right here in our own community.
No, Josh took me to this place. It was a hospital down there in South Pittsburgh, and apparently this hospital is one of the most haunted places here in Tennessee. So I'm saying to myself, okay, I'm going to go there. I'm going to find out what's really happening. This is fake. This is not real. So we get down there and we're sitting in a hallway. It's about 2 a.m. We have our laser grid going down the hallway, and we're at the very end of the hallway. Now, keep in mind, this hospital has cameras so people out in the real world can watch us live while we're investigating. They can watch it on the computer. Wow. So me and Josh are sitting there, and I'm looking down the hallway, and all of a sudden he taps me and he goes, "Yeah, I see something." He goes down there in the very back corner. It's like about six feet moving around. And this hallway's long, and it's breaking our grid on our laser grid. Uh-huh. And he goes, "You really see it?" And I said, "Yeah, I see it, man." He goes, "Well, it's not our team because the other 3 are behind us in the nursery." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So I turn around to look at my group, and then or his group, and I turn back forward, and it's gone. He goes, "It disappeared." So we run down there immediately, and there's nothing down there. Uh-huh. Lo and behold, we go downstairs back to our room, and I get my cell phone out to look at my text messages, and my wife had texted me. She goes, "Me and Mom are watching you guys investigate." She goes, "We saw the same thing you did." I said, "Are you kidding me?"
On the outside cameras.
They saw it from the outside cameras. I said, "Are you kidding me?" And she goes, "No." She goes, "It looked like a shadow moving around about 6 feet, 7 feet tall down at the end of that hallway." And I said, I started getting goosebumps. I'm like,
yeah.
She goes, "So who was down there?" And I said, "Well, it wasn't none of us." Mm. And she goes, "You're kidding me, right?" And I said, "No." So after that point, I couldn't prove him wrong.
Yeah.
The next morning, we get up to wrap up our equipment. We're walking down one of the dark hallways on the 3rd floor. We're side by side talking. All of a sudden, a door slams shut right next to us. Of course, he jumps into me and like, "All right, who's in there?" We go to open the door. Well, the door closes. The door, when you open it, it swings inward. If you open the door and let it go, it'll swing inward and stay open. Okay. And he's like, "This door's shut on us." He goes, "It didn't swing open." He goes, "And it slammed. It was loud because I picked it up on my recorder."
Oh, my goodness.
I said, "The room's only 4x4. It's like a cleaning room." I said, "There's nobody in here."
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay."
Those two things right together.
And so that's how I got hooked on it.
Now, we're going to talk a little bit here in a few minutes about where you go from there, because you can't just get hooked and just call yourself a paranormal research team member.
Absolutely
I wouldn't think.
not. No.
Now, Dr. Hayes, what is your story with this? What do you do in the real world?
In the real world, I'm a pharmacist. I work for a local hospital. Mm-hmm. But when I got into this, I was actually working at Baptist Hospital on night shift.
And we've heard all sorts of things, or my entire life. Yes. I've lived here my entire life, and I've heard stories about Baptist Hospital and the spirits and ghosts that are in there my entire life.
Yeah, employees tell me the same thing. So what happened was one of our floors, actually it's more than one of the floors, they had a problem issue where they had a flooding, and one whole wing was shut down. So, but we still kept what they called medication dispensing machines, Pyxis machines. Well, we still kept them active because our pharmacy was small, so we'd go up there, unlock those areas, and go in. Well, one day one of my technicians was up there, and he comes back. He goes, Kenny, I just saw somebody up on those floors, and I called security, and they couldn't find anybody. And he goes, I think I saw a ghost. And I was like, oh, whatever. Good grief. He goes, well, you see things move all the time in this pharmacy. I'm like, I do, but I just think it's because I'm tired. It's 3 a.m.
My eyes playing tricks on me.
I do see shadow play, and I'm like, but I don't believe this stuff. I said, I've watched Ghost Hunters, but I see this as entertainment. I said, tell you what we're going to do. I said, I got a buddy of mine over on one of the nurses. He's always wanted to go up on that floor. Let's lock it down. Let's go up there and we'll do an investigation. So he goes, all right, thank you, man. So we go up there. I have my video camera and audio. I go up there, but a regular video camera. Regular video camera. I go out and I thought, I'm going to have somebody jump out and scare this poor guy because, I'm going to get back at him for playing this prank on me because I know there's nobody up here.
Yeah.
So we're walking around up there and I'm walking through and we scare him and all that. Anyway, I'm checking out some of the rooms because those doors haven't been open in a long time. I thought, I haven't been on this floor in 5 years.
Oh, my.
So I open it up and I go, it's really weird feeling in there. And I come out and I go back down. We're replaying the video. And when I get to that point in that room, I catch a voice talking to me, and it was not happy. We'll put it that way. It said a few choice words. And so I looked at him. I said, why did you say that? He goes, I wasn't talking. I don't know what that is.
But he had heard it too.
But, yeah, he didn't hear it at that time. None of us heard it at that time. But when we come back and played it on the audio, that's when we caught it. We're like, holy crap. So I go back up. I catch the same voice again talking about something else. And then I catch a little old lady talking to us saying she's cold. And we're like, holy crap, what's going on?
Oh, my goodness. So
for me, I started diving more and more into it because suddenly I wanted to research it, learn more about it. You start reading books. You start watching more shows. I ended up going up to up at Eastern State Penitentiary up in Pennsylvania. I drove 12 hours to get up there because I want to meet Jason and Grant. I wanted to talk to them about what's going on. And they did talk to me. They're really nice. Grant was really nice. He talked to me for a while. And he goes, there's some things you just can't explain. He goes, he said, maybe you ought to get with the team and learn about this stuff. And I did. I got with the team. And from there, I've left that team since, and I formed my own team and with Mark. But that's how I got started. And we've been doing it ever since. I don't believe everything's paranormal, but then there's some things we just can't explain.
Now, see, and I think that's where the fine line is. You don't believe that everything is haunted necessarily, but everything could be.
Everything could be. Now, it's a fine line.
Now, how did you two get together? Because did you all know each other before?
I'll let Mark tell this one.
And let's tell this, first of all. I want to remind the listeners this morning that you are both well-educated men.
Right.
Respected in your professions, and you're ghost hunters on the side.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think that's something that people need to take note of because you're not crazy. Or you don't seem to be.
I would hope I'm not crazy.
You don't seem to be crazy. Maybe you are crazy. Some of your family may debate that.
We'll see what they say.
So you all did not know each other.
Not even close.
But individually, sometime around the same time, y'all were doing this stuff.
Yes.
Things happen sometimes that are just meant to happen. And when he tells you this story, it's going to be kind of fascinating.
Okay.
All right. It is crazy because, it's just... So anyway, I'm now belong to a group called Maryville Mystic Paranormal Society, which is another paranormal group here in Tennessee.
Do we have a lot of paranormal groups here in Tennessee? There are. I didn't realize.
There are. You can look them up. They're all over.
Wow.
Oh.
I didn't realize.
So anyway, we're at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, the group I'm with now. And we go into the room, and of course... The guy that I'm with, Chet Sands, says, hey, I need you to meet Kenny Hayes. He's from another group. He's going to help us out on this investigation. Kenny's, of course, on the floor, and I don't know what he's doing. I guess you were listening to some EVPs or something like that. Okay. So, we're sitting there for a minute, and Chet leaves the room, and then Kenny goes, let's go investigate. I said, all right. We don't know Adam from Eve. I don't know him. He doesn't know me.
But you're both there for the same reason.
We're there for the same reasons.
Might as well do something.
Right. So we're up and investigating. We're running around and stuff. We're up on the 3rd floor, I think it was, and we're leaning against the wall. So we decide to start talking a little bit amongst ourselves, getting to know each other. So I go, where are you from, Kenny? He goes, oh, I'm from a little town called Seymour. I kind of stood there for a minute. I said, really? I said, I live in Seymour. And he goes, I go, where do you? Oh, go ahead.
And we're in Chattanooga right now. So.
Yeah, we're in Chattanooga.
You all had to go out of town to meet each other.
Right. So I said, so where do you live at in Seymour? He goes, well, I live in this little neighborhood called High Meadows. And I just stopped and I said, are you kidding me? I said, I just bought a house in High Meadows.
No.
So we're neighbors. I can see his porch from my front porch. I can see his back porch from my front porch. I could hit a golf ball and hit him in the head if I wanted to.
Oh
That's how close we are. So tell me this.
Slice,
yeah, I got a bad slice.
So you don't have to worry about that golf ball thing.
So it was kind of like fate. We met at the hospital.
In Chattanooga.
And then, eventually we got together and said, why don't we go do something ourselves and, maybe go do a few investigations ourselves. So we started doing our own
Since
investigations.
You're both there, and
right.
here locally, and yeah.
So we were doing things on the side, trying out, see how we work together well, and we worked together great. So Kenny said, and I looked at him, I said, let's form our own team.
Yeah.
So we started brewing, getting the names. Of course, I think you came up with the name because it was difficult.
The reason why I came up with the North American Paranormal Research Team is because, of course, it's paranormal and we like to do research, but I didn't want to limit us to one area because we like to travel. We like to go different places. I don't want people to look at them and go, well, they're just
Knoxville.
They're just Seymour Paranormal
yeah.
Team. They will not come to West Tennessee, but we traveled places. We've gone places. We've been to Cincinnati. We've been to Louisville.
I've been to Indiana.
So we've been a lot of different places. So we want people, if they contact us, now it'd be hard for us to travel to Texas or places like that, but we are willing to travel to help you out if we can. Of course, we do work, so we have to work it in with our schedule.
Yeah, but that's possible, obviously. So you all decided to form your team, and it's not just the two of you. How did you find the other people that you had join you?
Well, basically, our tech person that does our Ustream and laptops and all that is my daughter Kim, who works for the county clerk's office. Yeah, we're a vast, we've got all kinds of jobs. But she's one of those kind of, I watch Ghost Hunters all the time, and she's seen that I had my own group and asked me if I would be willing to let her come along, and I said absolutely. So she did a few hunts with us, and then she kind of got hooked. But she went to college. She was studying IT stuff, communications, computers, and things like that. And I said, how about if you do our website for us? Run our Ustream, get us set up, cameras and all that. So that's what she does for us. We have another girl who's Kim's friend who introduced us to an investigation one time named Emily Kent. She also works for Knox County Schools as a teacher. And she is our historian. So she will, we actually did an investigation at her parents' house in, where's that, Murfreesboro? Stones River. We did an investigation there. She got hooked, and we were looking for people to come on the team. So it can't be all guys. On. We want to get a good mixture of people. Yeah. So we brought her on board, and then a couple of the other ones were yours.
Yes, some of the people that I worked with got interested in it, and we went from there. And we got about probably close to 10 members. Some of them are part-time PRN people, but we do have a core group that always show up and always help.
So how long have the two of you been together now?
About 5-6 years.
Yeah.
5-6 years. So that's crazy. All right. Now let's get into the brass tacks of this, because I know people are going, okay, we get it. They're not crazy. They're professionals. They're well respected, and they hunt ghosts. So what are some of the examples of Let's start here in this area too, just to give people an idea of some of the things that you've all have investigated here.
Oh, locally, well, the place we got hooked up with a group, a place called Wheatland's Plantation. And from there, we were helping them out, doing some tours and things. Now, we've kind of gone our own way, but we still would help them out if they need us to. But what they do, like they call tag-alongs, and when we go do an investigation, people tag along with us to kind of learn about the paranormal.
So people can do that.
Yes.
Do you have to be interested in it to do that?
You don't have to. We've had people go because they like to see the history or learn about the history of the place and just see the place, but then they kind of get hooked because they see some of the equipment that I'm showing you.
Oh, you've got all sorts of toys.
And they see how this works and what we've caught. We show them stuff, and they're like, wow, I'd like to learn more. So they'll, I'm not going to say they're going to go off and form their own group, but they enjoy looking at the stuff we have and looking and learning about the things, and especially the evidence we present. They love to look at that.
Okay.
So
you went to the Wheatlands.
Yeah, went to Wheatlands.
Mary Boy's Temple House.
We've been to Mary Boy's Temple House right across the river from where Baptist used to be.
Oh, yeah.
We've been there. Some places we can't really mention.
Yeah, there are some that we call private investigations.
Nope, sorry.
There are some places we call private investigations where the owners don't want their address or names or anything to be out in the public.
I can sort of understand that, because people who are just curious would start showing up and stuff, and you don't want.
So we have done numerous private investigations around here. Our favorite place of all, though, is Old South Pittsburgh Hospital in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee. That place is phenomenal. I mean, if I had to recommend anywhere for a paranormal investigator to go, I would say Old South Pittsburgh, because it's just active all the time.
So you're going to hear or see something.
You're going to catch something.
There.
I mean, there's pictures, there's hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of EVPs that people have caught. It's crazy. I mean, they have a maternity ward or up on the third floor. And first time I went there, the girl that was with us caught a baby crying on her recorder.
Oh, wow.
And we're like,
oh, wow.
there's nobody up here. There's no power up here. There's no way they could have.
There's a baby crying.
And you got a baby crying on a recorder.
And
This is
obviously you all
incredible.
don't have a baby with you.
And we did not hear it with our ears, too. So some people say, hey, are they just pumping that in? Well, we're not hearing it. But, of course, you're...
Well, but let's talk about that because you alluded to your toys, if you will. I know they're expensive toys. I know because they have to be very sensitive, I'm sure. But you've laid out an array of things here, which I'm going to be sending out in social media too to let people see and kind of know where to find you guys. But you have several pieces of equipment out on the desk. Tell me, do you take all of this with you, and how does it all work together?
We take all of this and a lot more. This is just a skim off the top. I mean, we have a lot of equipment. Equipment is expensive too. It's a very expensive hobby to have.
I would imagine.
But if I can make any recommendation to any investigator, your number one friend when you're investigating is the recorder.
It's
Okay?
tiny.
It is tiny, but this recorder here will allow you to download your recordings onto your computer so you can listen to it. Because 9 times out of 10, the human ear doesn't hear everything that the recorder hears. Mm-hmm. And that's how it is. We'll always go to investigation and I'll say, it just seemed dead today or tonight. And then the next day I listen to my recordings, and of course the recorder have caught voices that we didn't hear.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, one thing I like to bring up is when we are recording, let's put it this way. Let me start over. The electromagnetic field, like this millimeter, it measures EMF, which is electromagnetic fields. Mm-hmm. And we always believe that spirits somehow have energy, and these measure energy. We've got devices which they call like a K2. When you get around, like if I were to take it and get around your electrical equipment, it's going to go off. Now imagine you're in a place that has no electricity at all, and all of a sudden it starts going off.
Like the places you've been talking about. I mean,
Yes.
there's no power, there's no anything, and hasn't been for a while.
Spirits can, unless it's well insulated, of course, it won't go off.
Yeah,
But
I was going to say everything it comes in like in this room. It may or may not go off because
Probably not gonna have any interference.
everything's coming in from another source.
Yes. So this is
So,
well insulated.
yeah.
But we have been places which is like that. Then we'll start talking to people, and I'll be like, "Hey, could you light this up because it's got lights on the K2?" And I'll
I
have
see
them-
it lighting up
Yes.
now. He's taking it over here to this board of equipment. And
Yes, that's a good example.
Oh, wow.
And we can get yes no answers from that. I'll ask a question. I'll say light it up if this is correct, and sometimes I'll get a response.
Oh, wow.
So, and we've gotten, I've been able to figure out where at Waverly Hills, I was able to use this K2 device, and I was able to talk to who was a little boy by the name of Tim, who died from tuberculosis. And I was able to just ask him questions like, do you play with others? You kind of wonder. We wonder about what it's like on the other side.
Yeah.
That's why we do this. We all have learned, through our religion what we think is there. That's why I'm positive there's a heaven.
Yeah.
But
what else is there?
what else is there?
Yeah.
Exactly. So we ask him these questions like, hey, what do you do? Do you play with others? And you'll get a response. And for him, he was lonely. And he was so happy to be with us.
That hurts
and
my
he
heart.
followed, yeah, it did me too. And he actually followed us around the whole place. I'd be like, Tim, you still with us? Light this up. And he'd light it up. Oh. And I'd be like, I'm going to roll a ball down there. Can you push it back to me? We were at Waverly Hills, and the ball did come back around to us, which is kind of neat.
Oh, wow.
So
that's got to be exhilarating, but also a little scary.
It
I mean,
is.
how do you keep your wits about you when you're doing these investigations and you have a ball roll back to you? Or
when I first started doing this, I was scared.
Oh, yeah.
At first, I was like, holy crap.
I would
I
be
just got a
too.
response. Is this real?
I know I asked for a response, but I didn't really want one.
Yeah. Now we want to. Now I'm like, that's so cool. Kick it again.
Mm-hmm.
How neat. Here, I'm gonna roll it back to you. Kick it back. Go ahead, Mark.
Real quickly, when you say scared, my first time that I ever really got scared, it was my second investigation in Indiana, and I was in a bedroom with a camera. Now I have a camera that can take pictures in the dark, and it looks like a regular picture.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'm standing there, and I turn around, and I look at the bed, and as soon as I look at the bed, it looks like a man in a black trench coat, black pants, top hat, laying in the bed. I was so scared I couldn't even move my index finger to take a picture. I was just frozen.
Couldn't run, couldn't
Turn
do
my head
anything.
to call Josh. I called Josh. I turned my head back, and it was gone. And I'm like, my goosebumps. It was all right. I want to see that again. I go straight for it now. I don't turn. I don't.
Could you feel that the person was gone, or because you saw that they were gone, but does it feel different too? Because
Usually
people talk about like maybe coldness or
Right.
something like that. Do you all
Usually you'll
experience
feel
that?
energy. You'll get the goosebumps. The hair will stand up on
Yeah.
the back of your neck. It will get cold sometimes around you. That's a theory, and it has happened to me a lot. I can walk into a room and I'll start getting chills and goosebumps, and the meters will start going off. And Kenny will look at me and he goes, "Something doesn't feel right about this room, so we need to investigate it even more." A lot of people, if something scares them, what do? Their first
You run.
instinct, turn around and run.
Let's not go there again.
Well, our instinct
but you
now-
all head in.
we go straight for it.
Now, who are some people that reach out to you? I mean, is it people who have real scares, or is it just a feeling? Or
we have people. Usually, we have had them contact our website before and say, "Hey, I found you on." There'll be a listing of paranormal groups, and they start looking through who's close by. And they'll contact us, shoot an email, and say, "Hey, would you come check out our home?" And I'll say, "Hey, what's going on? Tell me what's happening." And you get some people that are over the top, and you don't always trust everything they get. So you got to kind of weed through those people and make sure they're not just playing games with you, because some people are just yanking your chain. And then we have some people that contact you from work. I have people come to me and say, "Hey, I've got something going on here. My child is seeing somebody that is not there, and she's only 2 years old. Does she have a vivid imagination, or is she crazy?"
No. And we hear, now that's something I've always heard too, that children and animals are super sensitive to the spirit world or things so are you finding that true?
I'm finding that to be true. I've been places where their animals would be reacting and barking at a wall, keep staring in the same spot, and and it turns out we either catch something in that room or we make contact in that room. So,
oh wow! Now I want some people to hear some of the things that you've brought. You have a whole lot of sound effects here, but we've got a few more minutes to talk about this. Sure. Just give us a brief description of 2 or 3 of the sound effects that you've brought. I listened to them before we started today, and it's pretty phenomenal. So some of the stronger ones. Tell us a little bit about what's going on, and then we'll listen to the sound clip.
You want me to do that one?
Yeah, let's do the. You want to do the Help Me?
Oh, well, I'll do Waverly Hills first. Well, we were at Waverly Hills, and that's in Louisville, and it's a tuberculosis hospital where
we've all seen that, because you drive down Pellissippi, and everybody talks about the haunted place down there.
They do the haunted house, and people are always going. Oh, yeah. Well, I've rented the whole building before, 5 floors, a huge building with just 8 of us, and we just investigate the place. And while we were there, I was telling a story about how the story goes. There was a nurse who contracted tuberculosis, and she jumped from the 4th floor. So we're on the 4th floor. I'm just talking about it. I'm trying to make contact. Sometimes when you talk about these things, it triggers them. They come to you, or they give you some sort of response like, "Hey, I'm here," like knocking noises. Well, in this particular case, we got something else. It was so devastating to the patients here. Nobody really knew how it was spread. Just that people died from the disease, and it was terrible. Their lungs, they coughed all the time, had a hard time breathing, and eventually their lungs just finally gave out from the disease, and they died.
Wow. And you're talking about it, and then you hear that it's really like her last breath.
It's right there. I could actually feel the scream in my chest. It was so loud. I could feel the vibration.
That had to be scary and exhilarating all at the same time.
I said a few choice words because I thought it was where members got hurt. But then I started thinking, I thought, wait a minute, we're all here.
Yeah. And I asked for this.
Yeah, and I asked for this. So we actually ran toward it. I started looking around so if I could find somebody. We could not.
That's a great one. Okay, so what else have you got?
The other one, when I was, it was a house we investigated locally. The mom was worried about her daughter. She says, "My daughter keeps seeing somebody, a little child, another child. And they're playing together. They talk all the time." And she goes, "Kenny, there's nobody there. People are starting to look weird at my daughter. They look at us when they come over and go, 'There's something wrong with your daughter. She's talking to an invisible person.'" There's somebody. And she goes, "I just want you. I know you do this kind of stuff. Would you just come over and check my house out to see if there is something there?" It's
kind of like when you're a doctor. I've got this pain. What can you tell me about it?
Come check this out. See if there's somebody really there, because I like to think my child is. She's okay.
Nobody wants to think
she's a good kid.
Wrong.
And so we go there, and this is what we caught while we were down in the basement.
Is she saying, "Mommy, mommy"?
Yes. And the daughter was not in the room with us. She was outside at the time.
So there's no way that it could be that woman's daughter.
Exactly.
It was maybe who the daughter has been talking with.
And I did ask her, I said, "Is this your child?" She goes, "No, it's not." And actually, what's funny about it, I gave her some relief. She was glad that her child wasn't crazy, but then she's like, "Oh no, my house is haunted."
But if you know it's a friendly haunt, I guess that makes a difference too.
Now
because the child didn't seem afraid of this person they were talking with.
They now consider this child a part of the family.
Yeah.
So they don't even think twice about it.
Do you have one more for us?
I do. Now, one I would like to do is we were in Wheatlands, and we were getting ready to leave, and we were just outside talking, getting ready to wrap things up, and it's probably about 2 or 3 in the morning. Well, of course, we leave our audio equipment in. That's the last thing to go. So go ahead and listen to this one now and see what you think.
What exactly are we hearing here?
What it is, it's a gentleman saying, "It's time to go."
Okay. I thought that, but I thought it was one of your guys. You know, hey, because you're packing up, and it's like,
late.
It's time to go.
And what's funny about this one is we played this for a person who actually recognized the voice and said, "I know this person. They were a butler at this place, and he's been dead for about 30 years. I recognize that voice."
Remembered that person. So you all are investigating spirits, scary things, but also history. I mean, you talked about having a historian, but you all are really going in for historical
Absolutely.
stuff too.
You really have to know the history of the house and everything that happened in order to do a proper investigation. You don't want to just go in blind and not know anything. So, and you're right. Kenny is a big historian buff, and I'm almost a big historian buff.
Almost.
I like the paranormal. He likes the history. So
You've drug him into the history part.
Yeah, kicking and screaming.
But absolutely, you have to know the history in order to, conduct a proper investigation.
Well, I find it very interesting. Now, people listening this morning, some may still be thinking, okay, I see what they're doing. I've heard what they've played for us. But I still don't quite believe. That's okay too. That's okay too, because
fine.
until you experience something, you probably wouldn't. But also, if someone is listening and thinking, for a long time, we've thought there's something in this house
Right.
or something at my work, what's the first step that they need to make to get in touch with you guys? And maybe how does it work from there? And is there a cost? And, how does all this work?
Okay, for us, all they have to do is go to our website, www.naprt.com. And they can find the contact us link on there. They click on there. They fill out the form explaining what's going on, what's wrong. My daughter gets it. She contacts me or Kenny, and then of course I'll get Kenny because I like Kenny to call the people. He has a little more time than I do. Not much more time than I do, but
I was gonna say you both seem busy.
he's more in depth, and he can really tell whether or not we need to go there and help them or they're pulling our leg or something like that.
Okay. So you just have to go there, and then, so you all set up a time, and do you want the family or the individual there when you go?
I do like to have the family there just so they can point out the places they're seeing things and like where are the hot spots? Where do we need to go? Because it's a really big home. We try to hit everywhere and we check everything out, but it's always good to start where they see things.
Oh, yeah.
This hallway, this bedroom, that's where we want to go first.
Yeah. Oh, because they'll be able to tell you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
they know
I'm
where all the
sure.
places are. And they'll maybe sometimes they know a little bit more about the history of the house. It's like, well, this gentleman died here. We were at a house in Sevierville, and it's like, this person died in the house, and we think it's haunted. So we try to make contact with that person because they gave us a name and about the time period they died and where they died.
Do they normally seem upset that you're there, or are they pretty, they being the spirits?
Well,
or I heard some, it's time to go.
It depends. It really does. There are some houses we've been in, we've really got a feeling they want us out.
Yeah.
You just get that feeling. It's like, I don't feel good here. This is,
Yeah.
for example, sometimes, like he was talking about the goosebumps, sometimes you get headaches. You get things that maybe you'll feel like a sharp pain in your side. Some people get scratched.
Oh, wow.
Nausea.
Nausea really bad.
Yeah. Oh, as an example, the blood on the floor.
Yeah.
I don't know if we played that one or not, but in that room, I always stand in a spot where I usually talk about it, and I start getting a pain in my stomach. And it always happens. And I try to leave, and it goes when I come back. And one time I said, Mark, I think it's just me. Maybe it's just, in my head.
Yeah.
He stood in the same spot, and it
Got
happened
the
to him
same
too.
thing.
Got the same
so
feeling.
that nausea or the head. And oh, my
So
goodness,
there's something
the pain.
going on.
So there's something. Okay, so give us again, as we wrap up things here, if someone's listening this morning and wants to contact you guys for a real something,
Right.
To find out what it is. What is it they're feeling? What is it they're experiencing? How do they get in touch with you again?
Well, you can go to our website, www.naprt.com, and we're on Facebook as well, so you can message us on Facebook, and it's under the North American Paranormal Research Team.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you coming in.
Thank
Very
you.
interesting.
Thank you very much.
Very interesting. Well, this has been the East Tennessee Report, a public affairs program of the Scripps Knoxville Radio Group. My guests today, Dr. Kenny Hayes and Mark LaBello, the co-founders of the North American Paranormal Research Team. Very interesting stuff. If you think you've got something that